Something.
Something.
When I nod my head, you hit it.
Abbott and Costello. Okay, sorry. So 1/3 of the way down on page 3, I think, second to, or third to the last line, it says, building setback if a deck was constructed that did extend, yeah, a third of the way down.
What's the paragraph start with?
Mr. Booker stated. And third from the end, if a deck was constructed that did extend, I think it would read better or more accurately, within the eve dimension, would it be compliant and get rid of closer to the rear lot line than the eve? That makes sense? Because it was within, not beyond the eve. So. No, just that did extend within the eve dimension. And get rid of closer to the lot, the rear lot line than the eve.
Page 4, first sentence, there's an extra space between the T and the H.
Any others? All right, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected?
So moved.
There's support?
Support?
Further discussion on the motion? We've been doing roll call votes on meeting minutes, I think, haven't we?
How do you want to do it?
Voice vote's fine. All those in favor of approving the August 14th, 2025 minutes as corrected, say aye.
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 Opposed? Excellent, we have meeting minutes. All right,
Oh, I can?
Yes.
Okay.
You're the alternate, you moved up to, oh, we can see.
Yeah, first alternate, okay.
so our next order of business is a public hearing for 1340 Margaret Place. Welcome.
Welcome, sir.
If you could go to the mic, that way we can get you on the Zoom as well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
I'm here. Would you like to hear from me now or?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Please
great.
tell us what you would like us to consider.
Okay. I am here. I live at 1340 Margaret Place, down the street here in St. Joe. And my wife and I are proposing to have a sunroom addition build and added to the west side of our residence. That structure, we were informed, would encroach about 2.7 feet into the setback line. And so I'm here today to propose a variance to allow the construction of that structure. This is the first time I've done this, so I may need some direction on what and when you want me to talk.
Yeah, just anything you want to provide us in support of your request. Obviously, we've got your written application and all of that. If there's anything else you'd like to add to sway us one way or the other relative to your request,
Okay? All right.
love to hear it.
Thank you, that's helpful. So erecting the sunroom, the dimensions are 12 by 18 feet. The 12 feet would encroach upon the setback line. That setback line happens to fall within our backyard, and that backyard is bounded by a privacy fence. So the privacy fence is already within the setback range. The structure itself finished structure, will be housed inside that privacy fence. So, there would be no, I guess, impediment to, the neighborhood, or no change, to the sightlines of the neighborhood. And the structure itself is being built, to match the decor and, the design of the existing building. I think that's all I have to offer, unless there are questions.
Questions for the applicant?
Sure. I have a couple of questions. The first one is, why, the extra 2.7 feet intrusion into the secondary front? What's the need for that intrusion? Because there's a chimney already there. The fence is, non-conforming because it's like a 6-foot fence versus a 3.5-foot high fence. So that portion that faces east, right now, is pretty cramped in spite of having virtually a double lot to make use of.
So that the only place we could put the addition is on that east wall. The 12 feet dimension from the east wall of the existing resident to the outside wall of the addition is the smallest we could get to make that space useful, in the addition. There's no other place on the existing residence where we could put that, without significant restructuring of the floor plan and or pulling away of the existing deck that is off the patio door on the south side of the house. There is what I refer to as dead space, on that existing exit door on the east side of the building, that we're using to put, for access to the addition. That existing exit allows for us to have that, addition placed with minimal expense to us. The fence that was placed there, as you described, non-conforming, was done before we became residents, before we purchased the home, and therefore grandfathered in. When we had the builder design and locate the addition, we had no idea that the setback line was as far from the property line as it is. We discovered when we submitted the applications that because we're a corner lot, though that side lot is in fact treated like a front lot, it would otherwise, the setback line would be significantly less.
Okay, so, you are utilizing the door that faces east under that, overhang then?
Yes, sir.
That's the one, access door.
Yes.
So then, I guess another question I had, the third question I had, wasn't just about utilizing the door that you answered, but why can't, in packet page 23, when you look on the south elevation, why can't the sunroom be shifted toward the west, closer to the one window there, and still get your square area and utilize the door
So,
in the same manner?
so the dimensions of the addition are not in fact square. It's not 12 by 12. It is 18 by 12. So if we switched as you're suggesting, the 18 feet would actually extend further into, or encroach further into the setback line. What you see in the drawings is an overhang of the existing structure. So part of the addition is actually part of that overhang, and that's how you get the 18 feet. So at 12, it becomes a useful space for our family, but there's no other way to place it adjacent or joined to the existing structure without encroaching further into the setback zone.
I'm not following that because I think what we're asking is, why can't the addition, the sunroom, be shifted west? And get it away from the 30-foot setback.
Because
And-
then we would have to create another entry into the addition, if I'm understanding your question correctly. The door, the elevation with the existing door on the existing structure faces east,
Correct.
okay? The addition is adjoined at the east wall as it currently is being proposed. To shift it west would mean we would have to move the entire structure if we, assuming we kept the same dimensions, we'd have to move the entire structure south. Are you asking?
Not south, west. So if you moved it west, and you ran the addition flush with the east wall,
It is flush with the east wall, sir.
well, it's according to the floor plan, it's the 2.7 that extending east of the east wall, which makes it go into the setback.
Can I maybe ask the question, why can't you make this sunroom be 10 feet wide rather than 12? Why do you want it 12 feet wide?
Because at 12 feet, at 10 feet wide, when you open the door into the room, that gives us approximately 8 feet. The purpose of the room is to be a room where we can move our living room in that area. 8 feet by 18 feet would not be a usable space. Again, please forgive me if I'm not understanding what you're asking.
These are from the distance here. The way it's drawn, like split like your wall is starting here. It's not really inside, isn't it?
That is correct. It isn't, yeah. So it's even with this side, there's a misdraw. This comes 18 feet from the inside, from this wall here, 18 feet out. Yes,
From this-
yes, yes, sir.
I think the picture on 23 is misleading.
Mhm.
It does start at that east wall. I know it looks like it encroaches over 2 feet in the middle of that wall, George. But it actually starts on this flat wall. This red line should be over here. It extends past that existing
Oh.
wall.
Yeah, look at page 21.
Yeah, I read that. So the,
You'll see it comes out on that east wall. In the same line, that east wall, and then it goes over 12 foot.
right, but it says 3 feet on that floor, on the floor plan. It says 3 feet east. There is not a dimension for the
That matches
addition.
up with the fire, with the chimney on the exterior of the.
Yes, it does. Looks like it.
It does.
So it's flush with the chimney.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So the chimney is non-conforming?
Actually, the chimney, when we measured, if I, correct me, Sterling, if I'm wrong, but when Cody and I went and measured the first time, and if he stayed right at where the chimney was, or where the wall was, that was 30 feet. The house was built with the wall right at 30 feet. The chimney.
Yeah.
extends the setback.
Okay, so that's where the math isn't adding up. Okay.
Damn bricklayers.
As far as the fence, I think that fence, when I looked it up, was, I think it's pretty old.
Yeah.
I looked back at other pictures, it was never a permitted fence.
Nice. Okay. So, I guess that answers the question that it's actually flush with the chimney. And then,
Little bit.
okay,
The wall, the chimney was only 1 foot.
It's a little more than a foot past the chimney.
And the chimney's not 3 feet.
No.
Other questions for the applicant?
The door to the sunroom,
Yes, sir.
is that gonna utilize the existing door that's under the overhang today?
No, we're going to reverse the swing. The swing is currently, if I'm understanding your question correctly, the opening we will use. We won't change that at all, except to change the door. The door currently swings into the house.
Right,
We're going to reverse the swing so it swings into the addition.
into the sunroom, okay.
Yes.
But I'm still struggling in understanding why he still needs those 3 extra feet. Right? Because if he's concerned about the fact that he's walking into this room, it's, the door is not the impediment, right? So I don't understand that. And the other thing I don't understand is this, or I would request is that, could you just extend the length of the building instead of having it 18 feet, add your 3 feet onto that?
Because of the way that the overhang works and the slope of the roof, extending that south wall another 3 feet would bring the height of the wall down to a little bit over, a little bit under 6 feet. Right.
So
Right, because
so
of-
the roof of the sunroom is following the slope of the current roof.
Yes,
Yeah, would flatten it out.
correct.
is that a problem?
Yeah, we'd like it to be a livable space, and bringing that wall, that south wall down to less than 6 feet does a lot towards not allowing it to be a
Well,
living space. It'd be the equivalent of converting, an attic, into a bedroom.
well, unless you change the pitch.
Then changing the pitch could create a problem with regard to the slope, the adjacent slope of the existing building. According to the contractor, we're trying to keep the pitch as true to the pitch of the existing building. It's possible.
Other questions?
In response to your question, sir, about why couldn't we make do with 8 feet? It would just make the space narrow such that my family wouldn't be able to use it the way
Right.
we are hoping to use it.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
And again, I'd like to stress that all of this structure is not extending beyond the existing privacy fence. It's contained fully in what we've seen and used and contributed to our purchase to the building, the backyard.
The packet page 24 was trying to make sense out of the elevation, the markup there. You were talking about the pitch. So is it, what is the addition running, what pitch or what roof line, I should say, what roof line is the addition running off of then?
That
Is it-
east wall.
That east wall that has the alcove kind of set back in where the door
right here.
is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the packet page 24 is a little misleading too, because it's
yeah.
like way up there into the second story, so, okay.
Other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you, sir. We're gonna discuss amongst ourselves. You're welcome to, if we need you back, we're gonna call you back if we got additional questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Want to close the hearing?
I will close the public hearing. Yes, I would. No, you stay right here. All right, discussion of the board. A couple of things jumped out at me. We think about what is unique about this parcel that it doesn't hold true everywhere else. A couple of things I noticed is that this is a pocket of R1 in amongst other residential classification. So the property immediately to the south is a different designation, and that house is much closer to Langley than his house, and closer than what this proposed addition is gonna be.
Right.
The house, the other side of Margaret, must also be non-conforming because its garage is much closer to Langley. You know, we have language in our ordinance where if it weren't for Margaret Place in between them, we could average these two properties and he wouldn't even be here.
Right.
But since it's a corner lot,
Basically, his house is behind the houses both sides.
Correct.
So you are not, and you're behind a fence. Or you're not really obstructing anybody's vision. You know,
Right, and then I go to the intent of the ordinance of, well, why do we have secondary front yard setbacks? Well, it's so that that house, if there weren't that secondary setback, it's to line them all up on
exactly,
the face of that street. But in this case, that isn't the case anyway.
no,
no. So does that apply, that ruling apply to secondary fronts or just for fronts?
I don't know that we formally
thought-
changed the or updated language when we cleaned up the,
So can't average the setbacks because it's a corner lot. We don't jump
Right.
across the street to do an average, so.
Right.
You know, the secondary corner lot was always there. It just really wasn't well explained. So that's when we changed the code and introduced the term secondary front lot. So, and it's because of the configuration of the adjacent property. So all of the houses on the corner of this intersection all have a front yard and a secondary front yard.
Yes.
They have no rear yard,
Correct.
two
Correct.
side yards.
Right, but as far as the averaging that Sean's talking about, the averaging only occurs on the front lot or the front secondary as well?
It pertains predominantly to interior lots. If you're on a
Right.
corner, there's nothing else to average you with.
Correct.
So his front yard, even on Margaret, there's nothing to average
Mhm.
because he's across the street. The house to the west of him can average for their front yard setback.
Correct.
Or the house to the south of him can average because they're a middle lot. You have to have a house on each side.
Correct, but I mean, given, I'm just using that as an example of there is intent in the ordinance
Yeah.
of averaging, and if you were to apply that in this situation, granted, there's a street in the middle, granted, we're a corner lot, but the house across the street's closer. The house behind him's closer. So, yeah, and then the fact that he's behind the fence,
Behind the fence.
and now even more has come to light that the existing chimney is non-conforming already. So we've got, just kind of piles on and
None of which is his problem.
yeah. Based on that information, I can support the request.
I agree. I agree.
There's no increased risk of fire, right? Because setback, part of what a setback is to protect the other neighbors from fire, right? So there's really no neighbor within, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 feet or whatever.
No.
My point though is that it's virtually a double-sized lot according to the statistics, right? On packet page, 9. You know, you got minimum lot size, 6,000 square feet, and it's over 12,000. So I don't understand why the lot isn't big enough to utilize it according to the setbacks established. And work within those confines to get something architecturally acceptable and usable.
I think there probably is, but then does that become unnecessarily burdensome, given the conditions of the property across the street and the property behind it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I guess. Yeah, I guess there isn't any evidence to, or there's no scenario painted besides this one. So it remains to be seen, I think. You know, there are no other proposals.
Certainly.
Asking for clarification. Would I have been required to come with more than one proposal?
What's that, sir?
No.
I don't think you're required to. No.
And, I'm not sure, I still, I'm not understanding, if you will, with all due respect, what you're suggesting with regard to other alternatives, when the part of the reason for placing the addition where it is because of that existing door and the savings that it allows for us to have by placing it in that location, unless you would not see as legitimate my concern that placing it, adjusting it any other way would render the addition too narrow for my family's purpose. Unless you're, of course, suggesting that we wrap the structure around, which would be additional.
Basically, the design is to utilize the door.
And and the dead space on the side of the yard, that, for all intents and purposes, is not very usable. It gives us more square footage in our home. It uses the space that we otherwise don't use. And it does it in a way that allows for my family to put it in my.
And actually, the fence is further over than the addition's gonna be, which is a non-conforming fence. But if you want to measure to the lot line, the fence is gonna make it five or 6 feet If you had to, it's further out than the addition's gonna be.
The east wall of the addition is actually 3 feet inside of the fence that exists.
And the more you slide it over, let's say, using that scenario, the more you slide it over, you are basically gonna lose the use of that door.
Correct. If we slide it over 3 feet, 3.5
Right,
feet,
right.
that door is not usable. We have to step outside of the structure in order to step inside of the sunroom, which then loses
Right.
the original point.
Right. I mean, you could slide it further over, but then again, then you're dealing with a whole nother scenario of another door, possibly turning that one window into a door, et cetera, and that is gonna add more cost to the project, whereas putting it where it's at, the door is already established, it's behind the fence, the houses on both sides are further out than yours. I really don't have a problem with it.
Clear.
Yeah, I just think there's another, if there's an existing, that's what that we just gonna change this left. Correct.
Further discussion?
Ask the question for clarification.
Certainly.
Since the fence is non-conforming, pretty old. When the time comes that needs to be replaced, at that time, I would think you would go into what fence ordinances at that time. Even though the house is in the setback, in the fence, then it would have to be quick.
And
And have you thought about that?
yes, we did, and that is the reason why we decided to go with a sunroom versus a regular addition. Because the next step in our long-term plan is in fact to remove that fence. And so, and we thought, give us natural lighting setback. So yeah, we had thought about that. We understand. I didn't understand that the fence was non-conforming, except that I understood that a 6-foot fence from our investigation is non-conforming. And we would have to go down to a smaller fence. Right. And all of that was taken into consideration. My wife and I were trying to decide whether we wanted a sunroom or whether we wanted a traditional addition. We like the idea of when that fence goes away, we need to see out.
And they have the right to maintain that fence in perpetuity
Right.
in its current location and configuration.
Yeah, as long as if there's nothing wrong with the fence, it doesn't have to go. Would it make sense if it did need to be fixed, to take it down because you need to get more light? Right. I like it.
Further discussion? Someone like to take a swing at the findings?
Let me find them, I'll do it. What page?
Find the findings. 10.
Okay, here we go. The variance would not be detrimental to the adjacent property and the surrounding neighborhood. No, I don't believe it is. It's behind an existing fence. It's behind the houses on both sides. So it's not gonna mess with anybody's sight of vision. The variance would not impair the intent of the proposed ordinance. Well, the proposed ordinance won't work there because they don't line up anyway. So he's really not changing anything other than putting something behind the fence. exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applied to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not generally apply to other properties in the same zoning district and vicinity. Such circumstances shall create a practical difficulty because unique circumstances or physical conditions such as narrowness, shallowness, exceptional shape or topography of the property involved, or to the intended use of the property. Well, nothing there is where it's supposed to be in regards to the ordinances. I mean, think about it. Everything, the entire, the fence is not compliant, the chimney is not compliant. That has nothing to do with the fact that you now own the house. That was done long before you got there. The variance is necessary for preservation and enjoyment of substantial property rights similar to that possessed by other properties in the same zoning district and in vicinity. The possibility of increased financial return shall not in itself be deemed sufficient to warrant the variance. Well, I think that the gentleman has shown that they want to use it for the family. He's not putting it on there to add value to the house. He wants to use it for his family as a living room and a sunroom, and this is not something being done saying, well, he has 6 months from now, we can add that to it. The condition or situation of a specific piece of property or intended use of said property for which the variance is sought is not so general or recurrent nature as to make it reasonably practical the formation of a general regulation for conditions or situations. No, I don't think that's the case. This house has a lot of problems with the ordinances. I don't know that it's gonna make any difference, you know. The condition or situation for which the variance is sought shall not be the result of actions of the property owner. No. No, you have nothing to do with this. Strict compliance with area setbacks, frontage, height, bulk, or density requirements would unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose or rendered conformity unnecessarily burdensome. If you were to move this around, as my colleague said, you could get it within the conformity. However, it would add to the cost of the project. It would also lose the use of the east of the door. And it would be burdensome. You would have to do some real changes to make this work. This, I think, is the easiest way to go. The variance is the minimum change necessary to mitigate the hardship. I agree with that. I agree with that. Because you'd have to redraw the whole thing to slide it over, which then changes the whole scenario. The variance will relate only to the property that is subject to the application. Yes, it is.
Discussion on the findings? I would simply add that C, the exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions that apply to the property in question. I would add that this is an R1 parcel adjacent, immediately adjacent to other R, not sure what that is. Is that an E next door?
R1C. Your R1A next to R1C.
Yeah, immediately adjacent to an R1C, which I think is an odd, you know, that difference in setback
Right.
there creates a different circumstance, which only applies to this.
This particular property, I
Right.
agree.
So I would add that to that finding.
Perfect.
Further discussion on the findings?
I just want to make it clear to Sterling that this board consists of 5 voting members. You need a majority of the voting members to vote yes for your application to be approved. So you need 3 yes votes. So if you think you may not get that, you want to wait until we get a 5th person next month or whenever we meet again, you can do that, or
Let's proceed. I struggle a little bit with, you make a very good point, Sean, that the buildings on either side of this gentleman's house are already infringing more than his will. But I struggle with, like, our task to follow these rules. You know, what about the next guy down the block that has the same issue? This will be a repetitive thing, I think. Comments?
Yeah, I don't see where it's gonna be, I mean, if you go down the blocks of Langley, everything outside of this parcel and the parcel directly across Margaret are already in an R1
Mhm.
C, D, E. So they're gonna be closer already. I don't see this transforming down Margaret to the west.
No,
And everything across Langley the other way is again in a different, it's not R1, so they're all can be closer anyway. Yeah, so I don't think it sets a precedent. I don't think it,
no. No, I agree.
You guys would know better than I.
I don't think this is something that's gonna suddenly say, oh boy, let's all get a sunroom on Langley. No. No, I don't, no, I don't.
Yeah, because the properties to the north, from there until you hit, the park, are all R1C. That's 20-foot buildings setback on the west side of the road. To the south, the street Wolcott to the south is R1C, and then we go into R1B, which has a 25-foot building setback. And that goes, not all the way, it goes 3 streets to the south, the R1B.
Yeah.
And then to the east, there's,
It's-
some R1B and some
Yeah.
R1C, and then
Right.
there's R1A.
Yeah, it's a little bit like grandma's quilt
Yeah.
right
exactly,
in that area.
Exactly.
It is definitely a mixture of things, but, you know, and if you look at the R1A parcels on the zoning map, the bigger zoning map, that looks pretty, I mean, they're smaller. You know, they're probably right at 6,000 square feet, if not less, as you drive down the street, so. The zoning map, when they created it back in 07, you know, they did their best to figure where things should be based on the existing lot area and the front building setback. They spent a lot of time on trying to get that to work, you know, not everything fits. Sean will, you know, we've talked at the planning commission level. There's a neighborhood off of Niles Avenue that says it's R1C, which is a 20-foot building setback, but most of the houses are like in R1E with a 10-foot building setback.
Mhm.
You know, there's a couple West Road, so, you know, it's not perfect, and that's why you have the dimensional variance option to go through.
further discussion on the findings? Someone care to make a motion based on those findings?
I make a motion. I make a motion to approve the variance request as submitted. To approve the variance request for the property known as 1340 Margaret Place from section 5.2, table 5-1, R1-A, single-family residence district, the zoning ordinance as follows. 1, decreased required secondary front building setback for a portion along the east lot line in Langley Avenue from 30 feet to 27 feet to allow an irregularly shaped four-season room, a deck being not more than 18 foot 8 inches in depth and ranging between 3 and 12 foot 6 in width based on the application and supplemental information prepared by the applicant and included in the November 3, 2025 Zoning Board of Appeals agenda packet on the draft findings as the request meets the required standards under section 15.4.10 of the zoning ordinance.
We have a motion. Is there support for the motion? Further discussion on the motion? Please call the roll.
Hercule,
Approved.
Mr. Butcher,
Yes.
Chair Eber.
Yes.
Mr. Ferris.
Yes.
Your request has been approved, sir. Your people can get building permit.
Thank you, sir.
That zone, that whole zone.
Yeah, right. I mean, where are you gonna go?
Is a mess.
All right, one more order of business. Where am I? Yep,
Take care. Good
good
luck.
luck. We need a vice chair. What are our thoughts? Craig's not here, sock it to him.
No, I recommend Mike. Just as,
I'm good.
just as we did, 2 months
Oh,
ago,
you did?
when you weren't here.
Well, yeah, I didn't realize that was the case, or I wouldn't be here today. No. I guess I'm not quick, I will accept it if I'm not. Okay,
That a roll call vote?
Need a second.
I second it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Butcher,
Yes.
Chair Eber.
Yes.
Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mr. Ferris.
yeah, thanks for nothing.
Enjoy that raise and pay.
Yeah, I goes, is the check in the mail?
Audience comments? Anybody?
Mhm.
Board comments?
Yeah, I just have a question on the packet that you gave us. I missed a couple of the commissioners' meetings. I knew this was coming. But the overlay district, Main Street overlay district, the way it reads on the first page, it's 9.8.2, district boundaries and descriptions. It talks about includes all properties in the commercial districts, COA and C. But then it says, and the R1 single family. Is that, again, back to the zoning map, the new one? Is that actually R1E, that little space there along the corridor of 63 of Main Street?
R1. It just says, we used to plain R1, because if there, let's say there was an R1E or an R1B or something, it's just plain R1. So it's that, I think there's 4 parcels.
Yeah,
5 parcels in there.
okay,
They're now, so the person who requested that text amendment owns the building at the
Correct.
south end of that block.
correct.
And when he purchased the building, his intent was to make ground floor dwelling unit, which was not
Correct.
allowed under the zone.
Yeah. I'm familiar with the story. And it's between Pearl, actually, the R1E district right there specifically is between Pearl and Park.
Yeah.
So,
That one little block.
okay, yeah. So you're just saying R1, you're not saying R1E? Okay. I was just trying to clarify it because I didn't know if it was inclusive or exclusive.
Single family.
Staff comments? Any staff comments?
Monday's the deadline for the next week for the December meeting. For a while, I thought we'd have like 3 or 4 requests, but it's showing, yeah.
You're gonna wait till it starts snowing.
Good for us.
They're gonna give Mike a chance to ramp up.
They better give me a lot of time.
All right.
Really?
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have support for the motion?
Support?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye,
Aye.
We are adjourned.
we are adjourned. Boy, I didn't realize that